Hello and welcome back. This is Grillenheimer. Um, Coming to you with an interesting message today. We're looking into the book of Proverbs. Really, it's almost the whole theme of Proverbs. I had a little bit of insight this morning um, before I even was reading my Bible, and we were looking at the beginning of Proverbs this past weekend. Let's just look at the first half of this. And it's basically says the author, the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel. To know wisdom and instruction, to discern the sayings of understanding, to receive instruction in wise behavior, righteousness, justice, and equity, to give prudence to the naive, to the youth knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and increase in learning, and a man of understanding will acquire wise counsel. To understand a proverb and a figure, the words of the wise and their riddles. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. And I think this is what we're seeing, just the split right in half of a lot of people today. Love or not to love, respectful and not respectful, discerning and not discerning. But let's pick at this just for a little bit, and then I want to get to the last part. We're going to do this super quick. And this is the purpose of the whole book of Proverbs. Not just Proverbs 1, even though it is the first chapter. To know wisdom and instruction, to discern sayings of understanding, to receive instruction in wise behavior. And then it kind of lists the behavior, and it's kind of like on a resume. When I was in education, we had to have a statement of purpose or a statement of intention, and it always began with the word to. And that's what they're doing here also, is stating what this is all about. This is what the Proverbs are about. This is the baseline of what you need to be thinking about. And it's three main things: wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. That's the gist of it. And so when we go back to Genesis, and when Adam and Eve ate of the fruit of life from the tree of life, they gained knowledge. But that's all they gained. They didn't gain an understanding. They didn't gain wisdom exactly. It was all knowledge. Right now, our phones is like the fruit of knowledge. It's right here. It's in the palm of your hand. Everything you think you need and can learn, it's right here. But that's not good either. Because through knowledge does not become understanding or even wisdom. There's only one person that has all these three things. And even there, as we read here in Proverbs, people of different ages have these different aspects. To receive instruction in wise behavior, righteousness, justice, and equity, to give prudence to the naive. Well, prudence is basically cautioning. Cautioning who? The naive, the people that are lacking the experience. Well, who are the ones lacking in experience? Basically the youth. And then the very next line is to the youth knowledge and discretion. So we need to give our youth the knowledge to be able to learn, to be able to live, but also discretion, which is avoiding offending the people around you. What are we seeing nowadays? Everybody offending everybody else. Mostly on social media, sometimes in person. Something to think about. Um, and so as adults, once we continue to read the Word and know the Word, we will eventually understand the Word and then have the wisdom to teach it. And that also goes to I didn't look that verse up. I think it's out of Corinthians, and I used to have it memorized, but it's just escaped me at the moment. All I can remember is the last part, and the wisdom to know the difference. You know, and a wise man. So, and you know, verse 4. To the youth, knowledge and discretion. So we have got to warn, we've got to caution our youth, hey, here's this knowledge, but be cautious. Discern this information to learn what you need to know, and don't offend other people. Well, that goes in turn back to verse 3. To receive instruction in wise behavior. Receiving instruction. Where do we receive instruction? From these? Yeah, sometimes. But people with experience. Yeah, I heard a malicious young person come up and go,
I'm not me, and you're not you, and you're not me, and I'm not you.
What else is new? Of course we're not the same person. We don't have the same likes or anything, but at the same time, the young person may know more than I do, but I understand a little more. I might have more wisdom than that person does. And that person needs to learn from me the trials of life. But when there is a lack of respect, they're not going to want to receive instruction. They're not going to want to understand wise behavior. And when you shut yourself in four walls and go nowhere, you're not going to learn social behavior. You're not going to see wise behavior because you already think you're wiser and know everything that other people just don't know. And you can turn into an ice queen. There's one thing about being antisocial, there's another thing to want to be antisocial. But then as we're trying to give instruction, spreading our knowledge, our understanding, and our wisdom to our youth, we also have to explain the whole theme of this. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. Fools, the word is fools. These people hate. The fools do not love. Fools will not listen. They will never learn wisdom. They will never learn common sense. They will never learn the Lord. They will never listen to the word. They won't listen to their parents. They're the ones that hate the cops. They're the ones that don't like authority. They're the ones that don't like teachers. Do you see who the fools are? This is very key, and it's what we're seeing today. And it's scaring a lot of us for those that can see it, that can see the division. Which leads me to this, and if fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, and I've mentioned this before, and I kind of waded in the waters and I didn't get to the point, but I think I understand this. Having a healthy fear of the Lord is understanding, being disciplined by the Lord, being disciplined by your parents, is having a fear of your parents. If you don't fear your parents, you don't love your parents. There is a difference between discipline and abuse. There is a difference. But I will say this, is that if we don't discipline our children, they will run all over you. If you don't put the fear of God in your children, they will not love you. If you spoil your kids and spare the rod, they will learn to hate you. We're seeing this now. We're seeing this in real time. Biblical words in current meaning. And when I mean kids, I mean students, college, young adults, all of them. Hopefully there's exceptions, and I know there's exceptions. But for me, I mean, I don't want to wrongly interpret the Bible, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. They don't want to learn. They don't want to listen. They think they know it all. They lack common sense. To me, wisdom is almost just common sense, horse sense, as we sometimes say in the South. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. What happened when Adam and Eve ate from the fruit of the tree of life, or the tree of knowledge? They feared the Lord. They cowered. They were not only nude and ashamed of that, they feared the Lord. They knew they did wrong. They had guilt. When I was a kid and I did something wrong and my parents were looking for me, I wanted to hide. I knew I was guilty. I knew I was in the wrong for whatever I did wrong. And I got spanked a few times. And that's why I fear my parents. I still fear my parents. I will listen to my parents. Right now, they're both still alive. Having fear, respect, and love are all the same. If you don't love the Lord, you don't fear the Lord. And it took me a while to understand this. But not exactly, because years ago, when I was going to go through that, and it's an old video, the circle of all the different colors, behaviors, and flavors of God, and he was right in the middle, and I had all this stuff. Wrath was one of them. His wrath, which enacts his fear. And if he doesn't discipline us in wrath, how are we to know him? How are we to love him? How are we to know when he brings us back to him? And when we are pulled back to him, the people that are still here are mad, hurt, and jealous. But yet our jealous God loves us too. Because he made us first. So let's end with this. We're going to skip to Proverbs 3. And that is your homework, is to read Proverbs 3. Because it's going to reflect everything we just read in the first half of Proverbs 1. The first part of chapter 3 is learning to trust and honor God. And then starting at verse 13 is consider the value of wisdom and understanding wisdom. And then verse 21 is going to go more into, like verse 1, verse 4, to give prudence to the naive, to the youth knowledge and discretion. It's going to get into discretionary tactics about being kind and generous to others. And then when you get into chapter 4, continue, you read chapter 3 and then chapter 4 as well. In the first half of chapter 4 is about acquiring wisdom, learning wisdom, knowing what it is. And through this they personify wisdom as feminine. So you're going to see the word she and wonder, like, she who is she? She is wisdom. And then the last half of verse 4 is also about, for an early Christian, or for anybody in particular, is receiving instruction in wise behavior, which is your social circles, in discerning who to associate with and who not to associate with. Because when you continue to feed your sins, you're adding the wrong fuel to the fire, and you're trying to continue to change the color of the fire, the color that's not natural. And in order to keep the fire the wrong color, you have to keep adding the wrong fuel. I've used that analogy before. It's been a while. But thank you for watching. I've got to go. Have a blessed day. And as always, thanks again.